Hey everyone, as I mentioned in the last video, it's very hard for me to know where to start when it comes to these concepts. They are all related, they all play on each other, and I haven't yet devised some sort of linear path to Zen. But I know early on when we were discussing some of these concepts, some of you had some really valid critiques when you said things like, okay, you just let go, just accept, that's fantastic, but how do you actually do that? And, I've given you all the standard answers. While you continue to embrace mindfulness, you continue your meditation practice, is you continue to realize that you can be happy in a room with nothing but your own breath. It's much easier to find happiness anywhere else or realize that you already have it. But another, I think, really important component to this is this parable of the Chinese farmer that I had you watch. And I had you listen to the Alan Watts version because Alan Watts. Everything seems more meaningful in his voice, I feel. But this is really powerful. I think when we get hung up on these evaluative labels like good and bad, we are presupposing a knowledge of the universe that we simply don't have. We rarely, if ever, know the long-term consequences of any action. So in the moment, we have an emotional reaction, which is fine, right? Emotions are fine, but then we add judgments and evaluations to them. Oh no, this is bad, or oh yes, this is good. But we're not really even qualified to do that. In a lot of ways, those labels just detract from the now and take us out of the experience. So I'm sure we've all had examples of this where there's something that we thought was bad, but then turned out it was good. I think breakups are a really obvious example. None of us like to go through a breakup. It can seem really devastating, but most of us have been in a relationship, and it may not even be a romantic relationship. It could be a relationship with a friend that was no longer valuable or became kind of toxic or whatever it is, where it hurts. Letting go of a person we care about always hurts. But, most of us then reach a point where we look back and we're like, hey, you know what? Like, that was the best thing that ever happened for me because I found healthier people to spend my time with, or I've learned and grown in ways that they were holding me back, or I've embraced a more authentic version of myself rather than trying to be who I thought they wanted to be, et cetera, right? A long list of benefits when it comes to breakups. So hopefully that's one example that you can all relate to. When I first got out of law school and I worked for a judge, it was a horrible experience. It was appallingly disturbing, and it was really what jaded me from the judicial system in its entirety, and it inspired me to go back and teach. So at the time, I was suffering. It was one of those jobs where on Fridays you're already dreading the Monday to come. That's when you know it's in trouble, right? And it just dawned on me, like, I don't have to do this if I don't want to, and so I quit doing it. And all of that suffering led to me deciding to be a teacher, which has been the most valuable and rewarding thing ever. So I thought, working for this judge is really bad, but it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Similarly, I had some really bad health issues a couple years ago, and they were incredibly challenging, and I wouldn't wish them upon anybody, and some of my days were just so incredibly difficult, but the growth and transformation that came through that, and the person that I was able to become, probably only because I had those experiences, just another example of where I thought something was bad, but it was actually, if you want to label it, really, really good. So be thinking about that from the context of the Chinese farmer parable, because I think once we recognize that we don't actually know if something is good or bad, it's just so much easier to accept what is. And this pandemic is an excellent example where, it's really easy to be angry and frustrated and scared, and all of those emotions are completely valid. But there's another element here. If you can step back and say, okay, what growth might come from this? What unexpected benefits might happen? Where might there be good? Do I have any idea what my path looks like 10 years down the road because this happened versus didn't happen? And the answer is probably no, we really don't. And so if you can make peace with that not knowing and accept that, possibly as a good thing, because it frees you up from the need to label things or the need to feel bad about something, and instead you can just allow whatever feelings you have to come and go. I think there's true freedom in that, and I think it takes you so much closer down the liberating path of non-attachment. So as always, I look forward to your thoughts, but I hope you enjoy that one.